Hello everyone, it is Jazz here. Today I am doing a discussion slash list type video. My idea for this kind of started with me noticing a lot this week that I have certain elements of books that I prefer to see, that I get really excited about, and they're very small things, but they do make me super happy when I see them in the book. And there are certain things that I'm like maybe not so excited about, even though I might still love the book. So I thought I would make a list of 5 of my favorite preferences that I like to see in a book, and let's go on with the list. My first reading preference is that I do tend to get really excited when a book has short chapters as opposed to long ones. Now, I think part of this is psychological. I do feel like when a book has shorter chapters, you feel like you're progressing more through the novel. Mostly, I think that it is kind of about my attention span. I do actually have ADD, and so sometimes my attention span wanders a little bit, and it's just easier to focus if the chapters are changing point of views or changing or moving quickly. And also, I am the kind of person that prefers to finish a chapter or a section of a book if I can before doing anything else in my everyday life. So if the chapters are very, very long and I don't feel like I can sit down for the 50 minutes or whatever the length of the chapter is, then I tend to just not read that book for a second. Basically, that makes me read the book abundantly slower than I would read a book with shorter chapters, because I'm reading the book with shorter chapters more. However, I will say that there are many books with super long chapters that I still love and adore, so it's not a deal breaker. My second preference in reading also has to do with length, and it's the length of the sentences in a book. So I do tend to prefer shorter sentences or medium length sentences over very long sentences. And this is only because I feel like often when an author uses a very long sentence, the sentence either becomes very, very repetitive, or it also tends to meander off subject mid-sentence, which is kind of fine in a whole paragraph, but if your actual sentence is the size of a paragraph and the thought of that sentence meanders, then I immediately meander in my mind and I don't remember how the sentence started or what actually happened in that section of the book, and that kind of makes me flipping crazy. There are exceptions to my thoughts on this, because sometimes long sentences are imperative. They are important to get your thought across, and you need them. And if you can really have good grammar and keep the sentence on subject, I'm like, yeah, I'm with you. I totally concur with that choice. However, I will say that a meandering long sentence is seriously an instance where I will immediately dock a star, not finish the book. Possibly I will not even begin a book if I get a sample of the book or have the book in my hands at a bookstore and read the first few pages and see that that is just part of the author's writing style. I probably just won't even begin the book at all. So even though there are exceptions, I just say get your point across quick and concise in that short or medium-sized sentence. It's okay. The third thing that I just prefer, and it's not a necessity, is that a book has like a poetic writing style. I love a good metaphor and a good simile, and it just makes me happy when I see one, because it just makes me think of poetry and makes me really visualize the instance, and it makes me want to quote the book for days. And it just makes me feel like the book has just beauty within it, no matter what the book is about. There is definitely something to be said for writing that is not so poetic. I think there is a real value in that, but I just get a little bit of excitement when there's a great metaphor or simile. Fourth one is I really tend to enjoy books that really play with light and shade. So I really like books that are darker books, but they do have some funny moments in there that kind of lighten the mood, even though they're very dark. Or I do like light books that either have a darker element or they have a little quirk or twist to them. So I'm more likely to pick up a romance that's a quirky romance that is like an unlikely couple or something like that, as opposed to just your traditional kind of love story that's, to me, a little bit more predictable. Or I'm more likely to complete a darker novel about sadder topics if the book does have a little something funny, just to give me kind of a release, so you don't feel like I need to go die now because this is so depressing. The fifth and final reading preference that I have is that I do tend to enjoy books that are more character driven. I am somebody that really likes to befriend, I guess, the characters in the book. And I guess since not every main character of every book is particularly likable, if I can't befriend them, I want to feel like I can analyze them and really study what their motivations are, because I find that equally as interesting as just feeling like I'm best friends with the character and enjoying their journey. So if a book is more plot driven as opposed to character driven, I might still enjoy the book, but it's probably less likely that it's going to get that uber 5-starness, because I feel like part of the fun of reading or watching a TV show or watching a movie is taking really specific characters and putting them in a situation that is perhaps out of their comfort zone or causes different interactions with the other characters in the story. And that is just a really interesting dynamic that I love to read or watch. So that is why I do tend to prefer character-driven stories, although ideally, of course, I love books that have both great characters and an excellent plot. That is like the ideal if you can get a balance of both things. But I do feel like if the characters are well developed enough, the plot usually subsequently ends up being well developed. So those were my 5 reading preferences. I hope you guys enjoyed hearing my thoughts on this. I hope you guys will respond with your own thoughts on this, on if you agree with some of these or if you disagree on some of these. I'd love to hear your thoughts. That is all I have for you guys today. So thank you for watching, and I will see you all on Thursday. Bye!